Echoes of the fallen when the ashes remember Earth 1 year after the last dawn. The sky above Earth isn't blue anymore. It's a mosaic, fractured by thin aurora lines left behind by the Inquisitor's dying lattice. Every night, the light hums a whisper of alien code that nobody can translate. Cities stand half rebuilt, half haunted. Statues of unnamed heroes rise between the craters. People have stopped counting the dead, but they still count the stars. Armand, now in a dark flight jacket scarred with burn marks, walks through what used to be the Washington ruin zone. Around him, children play with old helmet pieces, their laughter mixing with static from broken combs. He stops at a memorial wall. Names shimmer in holographic light, and among them, one flickers constantly. Rimward Veil. A soldier passes, salutes. Soldier, commander. They say the sky's quieter these days. Armand half smile. That's what they said last time. Elara's shadow deep beneath the Appalachians. Inside an underground research hub, Elara sits in a containment chamber. The glow under her skin, once bright, now pulses faintly like a dying heartbeat. Monitors track her vitals. Human pattern to 63%. Unknown energy, minus 37%. A doctor stands behind glass. Doctor, she stabilizes, then fractures. Whatever the Inquisitor left inside her, it's learning. Elara opens her eyes. They are still blue, but something swims underneath, a reflection that doesn't belong. Elara. Soft. He's not gone. He's listening. The doctor hesitates. Who? She stares at her own reflection. Elara, the part of him that's still in me. Armin's return. The rebel command post hums with recycled air and exhaustion. Armin steps in. People straighten automatically out of habit, not hope. The leader, older now, leans over a digital map of the solar system. Leader, we've got new signals. Faint. Far beyond Mars. Triangular formation. Council design. Armin, you said the council was dead. Leader, so did they. On the screen, 3 dots flicker red, then vanish. Engineer nervous. They're phasing. Cloaked ships maybe, or echoes. Armin stares at the screen, jaw tightening. Armin, echoes don't move. He turns away, eyes distant. Night talk. The promise later that night. He returns to the underground chamber. Elara sits cross-legged, eyes closed. When she senses him, her glow brightens slightly, like her body remembers his presence before her mind does. Elara. Teasing. Faint. You still stomp when you walk. The ground knew you were coming before I did. Armin, guess I'm still loud. He sits across from her, separated by the glass. For a while, they just stare, the silence between them heavy. But alive. Armin soft. You almost died 100 times. You could have let go? Elara gentle smile. And miss your bad jokes? Never. He laughs once, quiet, then serious again. Armin, they're coming back. Elara, the council, or what's left of it. Her face hardens. The faint alien pulse under her skin quickens. Elara. Then they'll come for me, first. The Inquisitor's shadow still hums in my blood. I can feel the signal trying to wake. Armin, then we find it before it finds you. Elara, you can't fight something that's already inside. Armin firm. Watch me. The way he says it, steady, dangerous, makes her shiver. Sky burns again. Location, near Earth orbit. ISS Bastion Relay 2. Satellite engineers float outside. The Bastion station. Repairing comes. Arrays fried during the last war. Suddenly, the instruments start beeping, faint, rhythmic, like a heartbeat on metal. Engineer 1. You hearing that? Engineer 2. It's interference. The beeping turns into a voice. Metallic, genderless, voice, through static. ECHO. FALLEN. Then flash. A light so bright it burns the helmet glass white. Every screen on Earth goes dark for exactly 7 seconds. Then, as power returns, the words appear on every display. The Inquisitor remembers. Panic broadcast. Echo Protocol Command Center erupts into chaos. Leader, all global systems just blinked. We've got zero comes from half the orbitals. Tech officer, data storm hit everything connected to alien residue tech. Sir, even the hybrid ships. Armon looks up, remembering the core, still buried beneath base. Hollow. Armin grim. He's using what's left of our own code. Leader, we'll shut it all down, Armin. Too late. He's already awake somewhere. He turns toward the glass chamber where Elara sits, her eyes now fully open, glowing white. Elara. Distorted voice. He's not out there anymore. Armin, he's here. The lights explode. New Inquisitors, sighed Elara's mind. Blackness, endless, floating fragments of the old lattice drift like dying stars. From the dark, a silhouette steps forward, tall, skeletal, eyes made of static. Inquisitor whisper, you carried me across death. You made me human enough to hate again. Elara screams, but the sound doesn't escape her body. Her mind bleeds light in the real world. Armin slams his hand against the glass as medics rush in. Armin shouting, Elara, stay with me. Monitors spike, unknown frequencies forming shapes, spiral symbols, fractal codes. Doctor terrified. She's not seizing, she's broadcasting. Every antenna on Earth flares to life again, all tuned to a single, impossible signal, her heartbeat. The message from the dark from orbit to ocean floor. Speakers, phones, even dead radios begin to whisper. Voice, Elara's tone, layered with something alien. This world is marked. Those who sang against the silence will be tested. The choir returns. Armin's blood runs cold. Armin, the choir. The leader frowns. Old legend. Before the council, before the Inquisitor, there was something worse. Machines that worshipped perfection. Armon, they're coming here. A promise rekindled hours later. After containment stabilizes, Armon stands beside Elara's chamber again. She lies unconscious, glowing faintly, pulse sinking to the heartbeat of the planet itself. He places a hand on the glass, Armin soft. I don't care what gods wake up, or what ghosts remember. You're not fighting this alone again. Not while I breathe. Behind him, the leader speaks quietly. Leader, if the choir's real, we can't face them alone. Armin doesn't turn. Armin, then we make sure they remember why humans don't kneel. Final scene, echoes begin. The camera pans to space, far beyond Mars. 3 colossal shapes glide through the dark, silent, graceful, each one humming a note deep enough to shake atoms. In the void, old gods wake not to rule, but to listen, and somewhere inside, a woman half human, half echo, one heart begins to sing again. After the blackout, awakening control rooms across Earth buzz with static. Screens flicker between Elara's vitals and unreadable alien glyphs. The hum beneath the ground feels a live heartbeat turned earthquake. Armon stares at the monitors. Engineer, Commander, the pulse. It's syncing with global power grids. She's running through every circuit on the planet. Armin, then pull the plug. Engineer, if we do, half the planet dies. Elara's body floats a few inches above her bed, hair weightless, eyes half open. The alien residue in her veins glows. Bright gold and ice blue at once, 2 voices, fighting for one throat. Elara, whispering, he's still here. And something else is listening. First contact, the choir sings orbit, near Earth, relay station, Thatanine, a lone satellite. Technician wipes condensation from his visor. Then he hears it through his radio 3 tones. So low, they vibrate his teeth. The tones harmonize into a language, older than syntax. Voice through signal. We heard your song. Now we will teach you harmony. The technician's body freezes. His eyes glaze metallic silver. 1 minute later, Every relay in orbit begins to pulse the same tritone sequence. War room, ghost, signal. Armin and the leader watch the pattern unfold on a holographic globe. Tech officer, it's not a weapon signal. It's music. Armin, define music. TECH. 3 notes repeating. Each relay transmits it with a 0.8-second delay, like a round. If I map the delays, they form coordinates leader, to where? TECH, to her. They all turn toward the chamber. Inside Elara, 2 minds. Elara drifts in an inner void. One side the Inquisitor's broken shadow, the other a blinding coral light. Inquisitor fragmented, I was purpose. They are perfection. Join them and end the ache. Elara, no. Perfection kills the song. Choir voice layered, serene. Imperfection is noise. Noise must be tuned. The light surges through her mind. Every memory flashes. Armin smiling, children laughing, a planet singing. She screams, refusing silence. Elara yelling, then hear me break your notes. The void shatters. Her real body arches in the chamber as energy bursts from her skin, scorching the walls with patterns that look like music written in light. Command breach. The sirens return. Every screen in command flares white. 3 massive shapes enter orbit, sleek, cathedral-like ships that sing instead of roar. Leader, dear God, they're not warships. They're organs. Armin, then let's see if they bleed. He grabs his jacket, heads for the hangar. Sergeant, you're not taking her up there. Armon, she's the only translator we have. He turns to Elara's containment team. Armon, get her to the ship now. Hybrid rises again. Exterior, launch canyon. Repaired hybrid ship. Its hull, stitched with new plating, and old hope shakes as it powers up. Elara lies in the pilot's chair, eyes closed, skin pulsing to the choir's rhythm. Engineer, core, at 54%. She's sinking to their frequency. Armin, then we use it as a bridge. Engines flare gold. The ship launches through the clouds, chasing 3 impossible voices. Orbit voice versus voice. The choir ships hang silent until Elar speaks through the com.elara.com. Echoing, this is Rimward Veil of Earth. We heard your song. Choir, correction. You corrupted it. A beam of light emerges, not attack, but communication made visible. The hybrid's panels vibrate. Sound becomes geometry. Armin grimaces. Armon, they're trying to rewrite our atoms. Elara grabs his hand. Elara, then hold on. I'll rewrite back. Her eyes flare. A counternote erupts. Human imperfection turned weapon. The void between ships explodes in auroras. One choir vessel buckles, reforming like liquid glass. Sergeant comes. You hit a god. Armin, good. Maybe it can bleed like one. Retaliation, perfect silence. The choir changes tone. A note so pure, it erases radio noise and brainwave sweeps across orbit. Inside the ship, crew collapse, bleeding from ears. Armin grabs the manual override, forcing the hybrid into a spin to disrupt resonance. Armin gritting. Ellery countertone now. Elara strained. If I match them, I die. If I miss, we all do. Armin, then miss beautifully. She laughs once, a sound that cracks the perfect note. The pure frequency fractures. Crew gasp as sound returns. The memory within lighting, that moment of silence. Elara sees something inside the choir signal, faces memories. Souls absorbed through centuries. The choir isn't evil, it's a graveyard singing its own mourning. Elara, whisper. They aren't gods. They're victims who forgot their names. She sends a new tone, part song, part heartbeat. For a moment, the choir ships pause. Then one voice answers back in a child's tone. Teach us. Betrayal echo within before Elara can reply. The ship's alarms blare. Someone on board is broadcasting coordinates to the choir. Armon spins, finds the engineer with a bleeding nose. Eyes silver. Engineer possessed. Harmony requires sacrifice. He slams a button core, overload. Armin tackling him. Not today. They struggle. Armin cracks the control panel. Sparks fly. Elara forces a burst of sound through the ship, short-circuiting the possession. The engineer collapses. Alive but empty. Elara, panting. They can use anyone who's ever heard the song. Armon. Then we stop listening. Decision. Echo protocol back on Earth. The leader contacts them. Leader, we can launch a disruptor strike. It'll mute the choir, but it'll also kill half our own systems. Armin looks at Elara. Armin, your call. She stares at the choir ships, glowing like cathedrals of fire. Elara. We don't kill music. We change it. She links herself fully to the hybrid core. Her heartbeat merges with Earth's signal grid again. Armin, soft. You'll burn. Elara, then remember me warm. Counter Elara sings. No language, only emotion. Love, fear, defiance. Every human radio catches it. Every choir vessel hesitates. Cities light up. People look to the sky. The melody carries a single message. Imperfection is beautiful. The choir's voices shift from command to question. Their ships realign, energy patterns cooling. For the first time in centuries, the universe listens instead of dictating. Aftermath, the whisper and the scar. The hybrid ship drifts in orbit, half powerless. Armon holds Elara's hand. She's unconscious, skin faintly glowing. Sergeant comes. The choir is retreating. Or maybe just listening from afar. Armon, either way, we're alive. He looks out the window, Earth below, scarred yet singing. Sometimes victory isn't a shout. It's a breath that survives the song. Final scene echoes never sleep later. Deep in Elara's mind, a voice whispers from the ashes of the Inquisitor's fragment. Voice faint. You taught them to sing. Now who teaches you to rest? Her eyes flutter open. She smiles. Tears glowing. Elara. Soft. Maybe him. Camera pulls back. Armon asleep beside her in the cockpit, hands still locked in hers. Outside, 3 distant choir lights fade into the stars. Then one briefly flickers back. Echoes of the fallen rarely die. They just learn a different song. The choir's gift, the sky that spoke back. They said the choir had gone quiet. But silence, on this planet, never lasts. Not after she taught the stars how to sing. 6 months later, the calm between storms, the war left the world half rebuilt, half remembering. The alien lights above Earth, once scars, now look like ribbons painted across the night. Children call them the singing sky. Armin sits on the edge of a launch pad near the hollow of the old hybrid bay. His jacket smells of burnt ozone and fuel. He's staring at an orb the size of his hand, glowing faintly blue. A choir relic found in orbit 6 months ago. He rolls it between his fingers, hearing faint whispers. Orb soft hum. She remembers. She remembers. A chill runs through him. Behind him, footsteps. Elara. Her skin glows softer now. The battle cracks healed into faint constellations, but her eyes still flicker between human warmth and alien blue. Elara. Teasing. You still talk to ghosts when you're alone. Armin half smile. Only the ones that talk back. She steps beside him, gazing at the orb. Elara. It's not dead tech. It's a message. Armin, then why give it to us? She glances toward the night sky. Elara. Quiet. Maybe because we sang something the universe wasn't supposed to hear. Discovery. The gift opens location. Lunar Orbit Research Outpost. Bastion 2. Scientists hover over the choir sphere inside a containment vault. When Elara enters, the sphere pulses faster, like it recognizes her heartbeat. Dr. Keller. It reacts only to her, nothing else. We tried light, sound, even radiation. Dead quiet. Until she walks in. Elara places her palm against the barrier. The orb glows golden, and then opens like a flower. A light projection fills the room, forming patterns of music that turn into voices. Voice 1, gentle. Your song reached us. Voice 2, fading. We are the forgotten. The ones the choir consumed. Elara's breath catches. Her eyes shimmer. Among the countless voices, one sounds like her own. Younger, echoing. Voice, soft, familiar. Rimward Veil. Daughter of harmony. Armin steps forward. Armin, daughter of what? Elara stunned. Not of the Inquisitor. Not of war. They're saying I was one of them. Before he took me. Past awakened, the truth beneath the hologram shifts, showing the choir before corruption. Beings of light and sound. Not machines but voices embodied. Their empire wasn't conquest, it was preservation. They absorbed worlds to store them, not destroy, until one voice, the Inquisitor, turned perfection into control. Holographic voice, the one you call Inquisitor, was our failed harmony. He became silence given shape. Elara clutches her head. Fragments of buried memory rush back. Luminous cities made of resonance. Her own laughter echoing across crystal towers. Then darkness swallowing it all. Elara. Breathless, I wasn't his prisoner. I was his mistake. Armand reaches for her. Armand, you were never a mistake. She meets his gaze, trembling. Elara, if that's true, then why can I still hear him? A faint whisper snakes through the ship comes. Inquisitor's echo distorted, because you still hum in my key. Lights flicker. Orb transmission. The universe replies. The choir sphere starts vibrating, glowing so bright that metal melts around it. The hologram reshapes into coordinates, far beyond the solar system. Dr. Keller, those aren't star maps. That's a call. Elara, urgent. They're asking me to come home. Armin steps between her and the projection. Armin, home. The last time you followed a signal, the sky nearly broke. Elara. This isn't war. It's a remembrance. The choir wants to restore what they lost. Armand, and if that means restoring him. She doesn't answer. The silence between them is heavier than gravity. Debate human or harmony council chamber. Base Hollow Earth's leaders, dissidents, and alien allies gather. The orb's data streams across the walls. Leader, they're inviting us to send an envoy. Elara, if I refuse, they'll come anyway. They always do. Armin, you don't owe them anything. Elara. They're part of me. If they're still out there trying to remember what it means to feel, I have to go. Leader, and if this is a trap? Elara looks at Armand, voice soft but unyielding. Elara, then you'll come get me. You always do. Armand's jaw tightens. Armand, damn right. Farewell before flight location. Hybrid hangar, 0400 hours. The ship hums. Rebuilt again, marked with fresh paint and old scars. The bay lights flicker as dawn bleeds through cracked hangar glass. Elara stands near the loading ramp, wearing a new flight suit laced with glowing threads, the choir's pattern, reinterpreted in human design. Armin hands her a silver chain with a tiny metal disc. Armin tracker. In case you decide to play hide-and-seek with the universe again. Elara, smiling. If I do, you'll still find me. He steps closer. Armand, I always do. She leans in, forehead against his. Elara. If this is goodbye. Armand cutting her off. It's not. It's just distance. She nods once, eyes shining. Departure. The choir's path. The hybrid launches from the canyon, engines glowing with both fire and music. Armin watches from the cliff, radio clutched in hand, her voice still echoing in the comms. Elara. Radio, I'll send word once I reach the choir's sphere. Armin, I'll be waiting, as her ship disappears into the stratosphere. The sky above Earth hums again faintly, beautifully, like it's singing back to her. Epilogue. The star that watches days later. Armin stands in the observation deck. He looks at a new light far beyond Jupiter, faint, pulsing. Sergeant behind him, at her beacon. Armon, maybe. Sergeant, or maybe something else. Armon smiles slightly, whispering to himself. Armon, either way, I'll follow the song. The universe had sent a gift. But gifts, like songs, can carry warnings if you listen close enough. The gift unfolds, gifts carry two weights. What they give, and what they ask in return. Interstellar, the long way to a song. Stars stretch into threads. The hybrid ship rides a corridor, the orb carved into space. Not quite a jump, not quite a river, more like a memory that refuses to end. Elara sits alone at the front canopy, fingers hovering above the crystal sockets, the same way a pianist hovers before a first note. The hall hums with a sound she can feel more than hear, 3 tones, gently braided. She closes her eyes. Elara. Soft, to the ship, your heart remembers. Follow it. Panels dim to midnight. A corridor blooms ahead like a throat of light, pulsing to her pulse. She thinks of Earth, of Armin's laugh when he pretends a joke didn't land, of children under the auroras, calling the scars, singing sky. She lets the ache sit beside the duty, and breathes. The corridor opens. Arrival. The cathedral in the void. A sphere hangs in black space. Not a world. Not a station. A cathedral made of crystal geometry and woven tone. Cities and spires grow from it like frozen sand. Spiral arches flex gently with light, as if the whole thing is breathing, as Elara's ship approaches. The sphere answers with a low chorus. Not words. Welcome. Elara whisper. I know you. Her ship glides into an open aperture, gravity becoming a soft invitation. The bay within looks grown, not built curves, no hard edges, surfaces, humming, faint harmonics. Patterns in the walls glow as she passes. They match the star maps of her childhood nightmares, memories she never trusted. She lands. The ramp kisses a floor that looks like glass and feels like skin. Home is rarely a place. It's the ache that stops aching when the room knows your name. Chorus of faces, they gather from the walls like mist, thinking itself into people. Choir forms, each a silhouette of light threaded with sound. Some are tall, cathedral. Some small as children. Some look almost human until you see the music under the skin. Their voices layer, not loud, not overwhelming, gentle like 1,000 flutes, testing a note. One steps forward. Their face is a mirror of Elara's features, except carved from luminous song. Leading voice serene, Rimward Veil, daughter of harmony. You survived the silence. Elara's throat tightens. Elara. Then why did your silence make a monster? The chorus rustles, not shame. Exactly. Something heavier. Leading voice. We preserved too well. We archived souls against loss, and called it love. Inquisitor took that love and shaved off its questions. He removed the parts of songs that did not fit. He called it correction. We called it peace. We were wrong. A child-sized form peers from behind the leader, peeking at Elara with curiosity and grief. Child voice bright, fragile. Will you teach us how to be wrong without breaking? Elara lets out a breath that shakes. I can try. Gifts core, they lead her through living corridors to a chamber that opens like a crystal heart. The reliquary. As she steps in, dozens, hundreds of orbs rise from the floor, each humming a different key, each containing faint silhouettes, laughing couples. Storms over alien oceans, a hand sketching a constellation, a soldier crying in a ruined temple. Lives, moments, saved, but not lived. Leading voice, we preserved them in harmony. They became quiet. Yours, made them sing. One orb rises gold blue, the same timbre as the one Earth found. Inside it, a younger Elara chases friends across a bridge of glass, as choirs weave around them like birds. The memory is so bright, it hurts. Then, a shadow falls across the city, a man like a blade with eyes like frozen math. The memory snaps. Darkness. Elara staggers. The chorus steady her with a hum against her spine. Elara through teeth. You want me to fix what he broke? Leading voice. No. We want to learn how to not fix it. To let it be broken and still be beautiful. Elara, breath-catching. That's called living. Leading voice. Teach us. Lesson 1. Dissonance. She asks for a chamber and a single orb. They give her a hall and 1,000. Elara sits cross-legged on a transparent platform, palms on her knees, and speaks not in words, but in breath. A simple pattern. Inhale, exhale, hold, tremble. The hall mirrors her. For a civilization that could sing atoms into bridges, breathing is a revelation. She introduces dissonance to notes that grind. A third that doesn't fix them, only sits with them. The hall shimmers. Some voices shrink, afraid. Some flare exhilarated. Don't resolve it, she whispers, eyes wet. Not yet. Let it ache. The hall aches. One orb above her flickers open. A woman on a rain-slicked street turning to laugh at no one in particular. Head tilted to the sky as if the weather itself told a joke. The image stays grainy, imperfect, and does not collapse back into silence. The choir hum rises, confused, delighted. Leading voice awed. Dissonance can sustain. Elara smiling through tears. Dissonance is sustain. It teaches the next measure how to matter. Earth, the distance that hurts back home. Armin stands in Base Hollow's long-range array room. The choir orb on his desk pulses in her cadence at random hours, as if the distance between them sometimes sneezes. Sergeant, entering with 2 mugs. She'll send a postcard yet? Armand half grin. Learning a new alphabet takes time. The sergeant sets a mug down. Black. Coffee, pretending it's medicine. Sergeant. Command says your sleep hours look a lot like work hours with the lights off. Armand. Command. Says a lot when it's scared. The board in front of him shows a faint, repeating triad. The choir's call. Armand overlays a human rhythm under it, heartbeat dotted with syncopation and error. It shouldn't match. It does, in places that make no theoretical sense, and all the emotional sense. He records a message. Simple, and routes it through the orbs, scarred lattice, dot arm and soft, into the mic. If you can hear me, breathe on the 2. I'll breathe on the 3. Meet me in the ache. He sends it. The room feels less empty, even if nothing answers. Test imperfection as key on the sphere. A council convenes, a ring of light bodies around Elara. They offer her the gift, a pearlescent core the size of her skull. Cradled in a cradle of tone, leading voice. This is our first engine reborn. It can bind worlds to harmony. If we let it loose, it will turn every mind toward the same song. Elara stiffens. That's what he wanted. Another voice, more raw, speaks from the ring. Raw voice, or, we corrupt it with your method. We build room into the engine. Space for failure, for choice, for wrongness. That is your ask, yes. Elara looks at the core. It is beautiful, and terrifying, and familiar. Like holding a knife that cut you once and also saved your life. She places both hands on either side of it, not touching, just hovering. Elara, if you build a machine that can choose, you have to promise to love what it chooses, even if it's not you. The ring ripples. Some voices bristle. Leading voice measured. We will try. Elara firm. No, you will do, or you will not build it. Silence. Then a single small hum, the child voice from earlier. Child voice hopeful. We can learn. Elara nods. Then we begin. Saboteur, the echo that refuses to die. They do not begin alone, as Elara shapes counterpatterns into the gift's cradle. A hairline cracks spiders across a pillar high above, invisible to light, but not to listening. A whisper rides the hall's reverb like a tick in a sleeping dog's ear. Inquisitors, ECHO, Needle soft, harmony is a cage. Only silence is free. A sliver of black light, a paradox. But that is what it is, slips from the crack and swims into the core's shadow, hiding where brightness looks the other way. The child voice flinches. Elara's eyes snap open. Cold pricks her teeth. Elara. Lo, he's here. The ring stiffens. The chamber's tones sharpen into shields. Not a hole. A shard, Elara. Shards cut just the same. She looks at the gift and feels the old fear. What if I tune this engine and teach the shard to sing louder? Her hands tremble. On Earth, a man in a dark jacket breathes on the 3. She can almost hear him. She steadies. Then we leave edges he can't follow. She weaves gaps into the pattern. Little pauses, where a perfect mind will stumble, because it expects prediction, and a human heart will dance, because it expects surprise. The core changes tone, fragile and brave. Armand's intercept, the road between Notsi, weak into Elara's work. An anomaly pings Earth's deep array. A corridor opening not at the sphere, not at Earth, but between a stepping stone node. Unstable, half-grown. Tech officer. It's a choir relay. It's not finished. Like someone started building a bridge and walked away. Armand stares at the math. It feels like handwriting. He recognizes Armand. She's leaving us a door. Leader, where the shard is. He looks at the orb on his desk. It pulses once, then holds steady. Elara's rhythm, not the shard's cold logic. He grins despite the fear. Armin, prep a small crew, minimal profile. We walk the door. Sergeant already strapping in, like we ever do anything minimal. Bridge of unfinished light space blooms like frost on glass. Armin's shuttle slides into a hallway woven from hesitant tone, places where the note doesn't know what it wants to be yet. He feels her in the ridges. Those are her hesitations, her jokes, her stumbles, the imperfections she installed to keep gods honest. Halfway across, alarms blare. The corridor shifts. A perfect note tries to overwrite a crooked one. The hull screams. Pilot white-knuckled. That wasn't her. Armin, eyes hard. No, that was him. He steps to the trusting madness. He sings off-key. Childhood campfire ugly. Voice cracks. The corridor steadies. Sergeant cackling. Never thought your awful pitch would save our lives. Armin grinning. Tell my music teacher. They push through. Reunion. Love in the minor key. He doesn't announce himself. He walks into the reliquary in a stolen suit patched with tape and defiance. Soldiers at his back. Gun slung like a rumor. Choir faces turn. Elara stands with both hands inside the gift's tone field. Sweat on her lip. Eyes bright with stubborn work. She senses him before hearing, the same way she senses dawn in bone. She turns. The look on her face is prayer and profanity, at once. Elara. Breathless laugh cry. You used my door. Armand relieved. Teasing. You left it open. He crosses the floor. The ring of choir voices parts. Curious. He stops inches away. Cages his hands around her wrists without touching the core. Feeling the vibration through her skin. Armin soft. Tell me this won't eat you to save us. Elara, a truth. I can't, but I can promise I won't let it. Not alone. He nods. They breathe once together, in the minor key, and it is enough. Choice on a knife. The gifts demand, the core brightens. It has learned dissonance. It wants a final thing, a seed pattern to choose from when it meets a civilization. One seed is the old choir instinct. Preserve, bind, tune. The other must be new, messy, human. The ring looks to Elara. Leading voice. What will your seed be? Elara's eyes flick to Armin. Elara. Choice that hurts and heals. Permission to fail. Community that outlives leaders. And love that risks itself for strangers. The core drinks the words like their notes. It vibrates dangerously. The shard stirs. A thin blade of wrongness. It whispers across the hall. Inquisitors echo. Love is a leash with a pretty bow. Armin laughs, sharp and bright. Armin, only if you've never been loved. The shard darts a spike at the core. Elara moves without thinking. She steps between. The spike hits her first. Not body, pattern. Pain like cold glass in her ribs. Her glow fractures along old scars. Armin lunges, hands catching her shoulders, voice breaking. Armin roaring, not her. Take me. The shard hesitates, curious. It slithers toward his chest and stumbles. The gaps, Elara laced in the hall, catch it like potholes. He grins through terror, Armin through teeth. Can't count what you didn't see coming, can you? Elara forces a laugh, even as she shakes. Elara. Miss beautifully, remember? Together, they sing the ugliest duet, off time, off key, completely sincere. The shard frays. The core accepts the seed. Light floods the hall. Choir's blessing when it fades. The ring looks smaller. More people than monument. Leading voice, quiet, new. Teach us how to live with what doesn't fit. Elara sags into Armin, breath hitching, smile wet. Elara. Start by forgiving yourselves. Then forgive the parts of us that won't behave. The child voice hums a clumsy little tune. Others join, imperfectly. It is awful and wonderful, leading voice. The gift will go with you, not as a chain, but as a choir. It will listen before it sings. A gentle sphere peels from the core, a companion seed, small, warm. It hovers between Elara and Armin, pulsing to their blended rhythm. Leading voice soft, guard it with disagreement. Armin snorts. We're very qualified. Cost scars that speak later, in a quiet chamber shaped like a sigh. Elara traces the new crack along her ribs, a line of dim light that will never close. Elara wincing, souvenir. Armin kisses 2 fingers and taps the scar. Map. She leans into him, exhausted. Elara. When we go home, the sky will ask us to use this engine on 1,000 decisions. What to bind, what to loose. I'm scared. Armin, honest. Me too. Good. Scared people check the door twice. She laughs into his shoulder. The companion seat floats above them, curious, like a firefly with opinions. Telegram, no one wanted back on Earth. Base Hollow's night watch catches a faint cry, buried in cosmic noise, not choir. Not Elara, different, older in a way that feels new. A tech routes it to Armin's relay. He and Elara listen together from the sphere, faces palling. As the message resolves, distant voice ragged, terrified. If anyone hears this is the archive at Rimward Veil there, not choir there. Collectors they don't sing, they harvest we sealed 8 worlds hold. Static choose the rest. The companion seed dims. The choir ring gathers, humming a tone. Elara now recognizes his fear. Leading voice. We do not know this. Name Elara, and Armin trade. A look that is a vow. Armin. Then we learn it before it learns us. Steady. And we teach the sky a louder word than harvest. She turns to the ring. Elara. Open a corridor. Home first. Then Rimward Veil. Leading voice. Alone. Armin squeezes her hand. Armin never. A gift asked for guardians. It received a promise instead. Sometimes those are the same thing. 11 reunion. Love in the minor key. Doesn't announce himself. He walks into the reliquary in a stolen suit patched with tape in defiance. Soldiers at his back. Gun slung like a rumor. Choir faces turn. Elara stands with both hands inside the gift's tone field. Sweat on her lip. Eyes bright with stubborn work. She senses him before hearing, the same way she senses dawn in bone. She turns. The look on her face is prayer and profanity at once. Elara. Breathless laugh cry. You used my door. Armin relieved. Teasing. You left it open. He crosses the floor. The ring of choir voices parts. Curious. He stops inches away, cages his hands around her wrists without touching the core, feeling the vibration through her skin. Armin soft. Tell me this won't eat you to save us. Elara, a truth. I can't, but I can promise I won't let it. Not alone. He nods. They breathe once together, in the minor key, and it is enough. Choice on a knife. The gifts demand, the core brightens. It has learned dissonance. It wants a final thing, a seed pattern to choose from when it meets a civilization. One seed is the old choir instinct. Preserve, bind, tune. The other must be new, messy, human. The ring looks to Elara. Leading voice. What will your seed be? Elara's eyes flick to Armin. Elara. Choice that hurts and heals. Permission to fail. Community that outlives leaders. And love that risks itself for strangers. The core drinks the words like their notes. It vibrates dangerously. The shard stirs, a thin blade of wrongness. It whispers across the hall. Inquisitors echo. Love is a leash with a pretty bow. Armin laughs, sharp and bright. Armin, only if you've never been loved. The shard darts a spike at the core. Elara moves without thinking. She steps between. The spike hits her first. Not body, pattern. Pain like cold glass in her ribs. Her glow fractures along old scars. Armin lunges, hands catching her shoulders, voice breaking. Armin roaring, not her. Take me. The shard hesitates, curious. It slithers toward his chest and stumbles. The gaps, Elara laced in the hall, catch it like potholes. He grins through terror, Armin through teeth. Can't count what you didn't see coming, can you? Elara forces a laugh, even as she shakes. Elara. Miss beautifully, remember? Together, they sing the ugliest duet, off time, off key, completely sincere. The shard frays. The core accepts the seed. Light floods the hall. Choir's blessing when it fades. The ring looks smaller. More people than monument. Leading voice, quiet, new. Teach us how to live with what doesn't fit. Elara sags into Armin, breath hitching, smile wet. Elara. Start by forgiving yourselves. Then forgive the parts of us that won't behave. The child voice hums a clumsy little tune. Others join, imperfectly. It is awful and wonderful. Leading voice. The gift will go with you, not as a chain, but as a choir. It will listen before it sings. A gentle sphere peels from the core, a companion seed, small, warm. It hovers between Elara and Armin, pulsing to their blended rhythm. Leading voice soft, guard it with disagreement. Armin snorts. We're very qualified. Cost scars that speak later, in a quiet chamber shaped like a sigh. Elara traces the new crack along her ribs, a line of dim light that will never close. Elara wincing. Souvenir. Armin kisses 2 fingers and taps the scar. Map. She leans into him, exhausted. Elara. When we go home, the sky will ask us to use this engine on 1,000 decisions. What to bind, what to loose. I'm scared. Armin, honest. Me too. Good. Scared people check the door twice. She laughs into his shoulder. The companion seat floats above them, curious, like a firefly with opinions. The telegram no one wanted back on Earth. Base Hollow's night watch catches a faint cry buried in cosmic noise. Not choir. Not Elara. Different. Older in a way that feels new. A tech routes it to Armin's relay. He and Elara listen together from the sphere, faces palling. As the message resolves, distant voice ragged, terrified. If anyone hears this is the archive at Rimward Veil there, not choir there. Collectors they don't sing, they harvest we sealed 8 worlds hold. Static choose the rest. The companion seed dims. The choir ring gathers, humming a tone Elara now recognizes as fear. We do not know this. Name Elara, and Armin trade. A look that is a vow. Armin. Then we learn it before it learns us. Steady. And we teach the sky a louder word than harvest. She turns to the ring. Elara. Open a corridor. Home first. Then Rimward Veil. Leading voice. Alone. Armin squeezes her hand. Armin never. A gift asked for guardians. It received a promise instead. Sometimes those are the same thing. Transit the corridor with a limp. The corridor to Rimward Veil isn't smooth. Notes misfire. The walls ripple like a throat swallowing stones. At one point, the floor forgets it's a floor. Everybody floats. Then slams down when the corridor remembers its job. Pilot through gritted teeth. I hate improvisation. Armin, improvisation loves you. Elara, this path wasn't finished. Someone opened it mid-flight. She doesn't say who. They both think it. The shard learned her trick. A colder rhythm knocks on the hull. Once, faint as a coin down a well. She takes Armin's hand on the console. The knock doesn't come again. Rimward Veil. First look. They emerge into a dark sea that feels unusually thick. Space here isn't absent. It's crowded with quiet. Starlight looks bruised. Off the port bow, a pale shape rotates. Archive station, the theta lattice ring, around a central library spindle. Lights dead. No thermal. No radio. Close. And then the instruments drift off it, as if distracted. ANSEL uneasy. I feel. Subtraction. Sergeant. Boarding party. Armand nods. Load checks his rifle. Elara threads the companion seed into a small harness on her chest. It brightens, then dims, choosing shy.elara to the seed. If I say home, you go to the ship. The seed clicks twice. A tiny, valiant dove. Armand low. If I say run, you take her and ignore me. The seed doesn't react. It has already chosen a different ethic. Airlock echo of a welcome. The archive's outer lock accepts their code with a delay, like a host peeking through the curtains before unlatching the door. Inside, corridors of pale composite, walls inked with data, vines printed memory, braided into the architecture. Their footsteps sound swallowed. Even the combs carry a cough in the wire. They reach a central gallery, the rotunda of witness. Alcoves ring the space each. A diorama of a saved culture, woven fog from a cloud world. A fossil ocean, a preserved song in a glass cylinder that usually hums. Now each alcove is outline only, crisp edge. Hollow center. Sergeant hushed. Taxidermy. ANSEL. Voice thinned, not preserved, drained. The negative kept, the positive eaten. Elara's knees go soft. That's what the distress call meant by harvest. Armand squeezes her forearm, grounding heat. The curator movement in the gallery's higher dark. A human shape drops lightly onto the balustrade and regards them with eyes like winter metal. Human face, off by a millimeter everywhere. Voice too dry. Curator, visitors logged. Welcome to the archive at Rimward Veil. Apologies for the vacancy. Our exhibits have been processed. Armin, rifle low, ready. Processed by who? Curator, collectors. We arranged access. We believe in sharing. Sergeant mutter, I believe in punching. Elara steps forward. You were human. A shrug that imitates regret. We are better now. Preferences pruned. Purpose selected. The collectors promised eternity without friction. Imagine a symphony with no wrong notes. ANSEL, quiet wrath. A loop is not a symphony. The curator tilts their head at Ansel choir. Once our colleagues, always our problem. You trust dissonance too much. We misplaced it entirely. The collectors offered a cure. Elara's voice softens. A cure for feeling, correct. The curator smiles a museum smile. Would you like the tour? It's very quiet. You will not be moved. Armin's skin prickles. He hears footsteps where there are none. The companion seed trembles against Elara's chest. How they eat. The curator leads them down a narrow hall into the Isle of Names where recovered last words float as letters of light. Except here, the letters are there, without voices, shapes intact, sound absent. A clean font, where a scream once lived. Curator. The collectors harvest the entropy in meaning. They take the heat of a moment and leave its geometry. Museums survive heat poorly. We are an improvement. Elara stops at a glass cylinder. Inside, a child's crayon drawing from a colony school stick figures under a purple sun. The color is drained to precision. The figures are crisp, artifact perfect, soul-vacant. Her breath hitches. Who asked for this? The curator's eyes click almost Grief asked. We obliged. If nothing is alive, nothing can die. Armand muscles down the urge to break the cylinder. If nothing is alive, nothing can live. The curator smiles politely, as if at a gallery opening where the wine is only okay. We disagree. First pull something tugs at Elara's light, gently at first, then greedy. She staggers. The companion seed flares, throws a tiny shock into her sternum. The pull retreats like a mouse scalded by kettle steam. Unsells aura spikes. Collectors are tasting through the archive's rotted permissions. Curator mild, they appreciate quality. Armand swings the rifle up, finally done acting civilized. How do we shut the doors? The curator's smile thins. Doors are consent. You brought consent with you. Elara steadies eyes now glacier bright. Then revoke it. She spreads her hands. The chamber's tone field wakes her, will rewriting the room's acoustic skeleton. Data vines quiver. Somewhere far beyond the hull, something hisses the space equivalent of a straw drawn from a mouth. Uncell odd. You're building friction back into the aisles. Elara through teeth. I'm making the air disagree with the theft. Collectors, first sight the ceiling droops. Not a leak. A sag in reality, as if the world were canvas, and a drop of dark water bulged the cloth. A filament falls no color, just a less of color trembling like spider silk that forgot how to sparkle. It touches the crayon cylinder. The stick figures dissolve not into smear, but into clarity. That's the horror. They become more perfect as they vanish. Sergeant firing. Nope. Bullets hit the filament and nap. Metal loses story, becomes diagram, drops to the floor, demoted from weapon to geometry. Armin grim. We need something that refuses to be perfect. He slings the rifle. Pulls a harmonica from his jacket. Don't ask why he carries one grief, makes men pack strange anchors. He blows badly. Notes fall, stagger, laugh at themselves. The filament twitches. Elara snorts despite terror. She adds a counter-hum, off-key on purpose. Uncell layers a thin choir tone, then intentionally fractures it. The filament recoils, confused. The ceiling bulge ripples. Indecisive. Curator, flat disappointment, vandalism. How very human. RMAN, playing louder. You should hear me sing. Split gift versus shard. The companion seed brightens, projecting a little lattice around the rotunda. Elara's ethic. Listen before song. It works. Collectors. Filaments hesitate at the boundary, as if uncertain who is host, but under the seed's gentle web. Something colder wakes in the gift, a sliver of Inquisitor's shard tasting the pattern from inside the same house. The boundary sharpens. Choice narrows. Elara flinches. He's pushing for resolution. Armin's jaw ticks. So we stall. He drags a bench to the center of the rotunda, steps on it like a busker with a death wish, and turns every mic in the suit to broadcast. Armin amplified. Raw. Hey, I know you can hear. Collectors, curators, all you tidy thieves. You want our stories without our mess. But the mess is the story. The crack is where the light gets brave. Come take it, Leivor, leave hungry. Uncell hums a bolder dissonance. The sergeant stomps a tempo on the stone. Elara closes her eyes and sings a lullaby her mother might have sung if the Inquisitor hadn't rewritten their lullabies into drills. The melody wobbles, then stands, defiant in its wrong corners. The filaments writhe. They do not like live error. Tour, interrupted, the curator frowns, finally unamused. Enough. You mistake chaos for freedom. It is only fatigue. Let us rest you. From the far galleries, shapes unhooked from alcoves curators, aids once, humans, now curated, moving with bubble-level grace. They glide, with velvet menace. Hands open, like polite clamps. Sergeant, raising fists. Come sleep. My arm in. Language. Sergeant. Friends. ANSEL. To Elara. We can sing them back if we touch their names. Elara nods, then falters. They don't have names anymore. Just roles. Armand points at the crayon cylinder's plaque. A faded engraving. AYA. Age 6. Our son has a purple hat. He grins. Wolfish. Good enough. He points at the nearest aide. UAI's uncle. You promised to keep her safe. Remember. A flicker in the aide's eye. A muscle argues under too still skin. Elara leans in with mercy sharpened to a needle. You loved her? She hums Aya's rhythm to fast claps. A giggle on the inhale every 6-year-old's common holiness. The aide stutters. For a second. The museum lets him be a man again. Tears. Horror. Relief. Then the filament above yanks and he goes. Slack once more. IELARA. To the ceiling. Coward. Plan of no permission. They retreat to the rotunda center. Filaments probe. Then hesitate at the companion seed's soft web. The shard inside the gift keeps pressing for a clean answer. Elara holds it off with ragged faith. Armin sketches on the stone with a broken data stylus. Circles. Arrows. A child's battle plan. Armin, we can't win by force. We leave a splinter they can't digest. A living knot in the archive's throat. ANSEL. Considering a dissonance cache. Sergeant, in common. Armin, we rig the archive to hum a song it can't resolve. Forever. Any collector trying to drink gets a mouthful of unfinished business. Elara's tired laugh is also approval. We weaponize grief. She pulls the companion seed free, hands trembling. Little one, can you hold a chord without finishing it? The seed wobbles, then steady stuk-tuk-tuk, missing the third beat, on purpose like a child refusing to count right. A tiny masterpiece of stubborn .ncell spreads their aura into the data vines. Armin and Sergeant Hall cables. Tex curse lovingly. They wire the rotunda's heart into a loop that breathes wrong by design. Empathy, then memory, then a deliberate stutter where resolution should be. Uncell soft, pain with a porch light. Stand off in a museum, the curator watches. Face arranged into politeness, like flowers arranged into grief. If you do this, you end our mission. Armin doesn't look up. Your mission ended when you sold the gallery to thieves. Elara stands, scar glowing under the collar. You wanted eternity. Take endurance instead. That's the human version. The curator's jaw clicks. The aide's poised to strike. Filaments drop lower, hungry. Sergeant rolling shoulders. Round 2 then. Armand to Elara. Lo, if I say run, disobey me. Elara, if I say stay, disobey me. He grins. Quality marriage. They link hands over the companion seed. Uncell adds their light. The rotunda hums first clear, then cracked, then kind. The sound blooms down corridors, into galleries, through sleeping airlocks, down the archive's spine, and out its docking bonza. Broadcast of unresolved mercy. The filaments descend to drink and choke. They convulse, unable to file the ache under any tidy heading. Aides shudder. A few blink wet again. One whispers Aya, before the filament retreats. Scorched by unclosed love. Curator hoarse. You will make everything messy. Elara gentle. We will make everything alive. The curator's gaze slides to the ceiling bulge. Then the collectors will come themselves. Armin bares his teeth. Good cliff-beat teeth at the edge external cam's flare. Beyond the archive's rim, space crinkles, then tears. Not a corridor. A mouth a dark oval, where stars smear two straight lines and vanish. From its edge, articulated frames unfold like surgical tools, the size of cathedrals. They do not glow. They reflect nothing. They simply reduce the idea of light. Tech overcome, choked. Multiple collector frames arriving. There. Unfriendly geometry. ANSEL. Quiet. They will not negotiate with noise. Elara squeezes Armin's hand until both their knuckles pale. Then we sing to the ones behind the frames. The stolen. The starving. She lifts her chin. Her voice is small and unstoppable. ELARA. To the dark. If you can still hear yourselves in there, come back. We left the door unfinished. The companion seed brightens, tucking itself between their palms like a living ember, at the rim of a map and a throat. Two voices chose ache over order. Somewhere, something that had only ever eaten began to remember hunger's opposite. The seed wobbles, then steady stoop to took me sing the third beat on purpose, like a child refusing to count right. A tiny masterpiece of stubborn N-cell spreads their aura into the data vines. Armin and Sergeant Hall cables. Techs curse lovingly. They wire the rotunda's heart into a loop that breathes wrong by design. Empathy, then memory, then a deliberate stutter where resolution should be. Uncell soft, pain with a porch light. Standoff in a museum, the curator watches. Face arranged into politeness, like flowers arranged into grief. If you do this, you end our mission. Armin doesn't look up. Your mission ended when you sold the gallery to thieves. Elara stands, scar glowing under the collar. You wanted eternity. Take endurance instead. That's the human version. The curator's jaw clicks. The aide's poised to strike. Filaments drop lower, hungry. Sergeant rolling shoulders. Round two then. Armand to Elara. Lo, if I say run, disobey me. Elara, if I say stay, disobey me. He grins. Quality marriage. They link hands over the companion seed. Uncell adds their light. The rotunda hums first clear, then cracked, then kind. The sound blooms down corridors, into galleries, through sleeping airlocks, down the archive's spine, and out its docking bones. Broadcast of unresolved mercy. The filaments descend to drink and choke. They convulse, unable to file the ache under any tidy heading. Aides shudder. A few blink wet again. One whispers Aya before the filament retreats. Scorched by unclosed love. Curator hoarse. You will make everything messy. Elara gentle. We will make everything alive. The curator's gaze slides to the ceiling bulge. Then the collectors will come themselves. Armin bares his teeth. Good cliff-beat teeth at the edge external cam's flare. Beyond the archive's rim, space crinkles, then tears. Not a corridor. A mouth a dark oval, where stars smear two straight lines and vanish. From its edge, articulated frames unfold like surgical tools, the size of cathedrals. They do not glow. They reflect nothing. They simply reduce the idea of light. Tech overcome, choked. Multiple collector frames arriving. There. Unfriendly geometry. ANSEL. Quiet. They will not negotiate with noise. Elara squeezes Armin's hand until both their knuckles pale. Then we sing to the ones behind the frames. The stolen. The starving. She lifts her chin. Her voice is small and unstoppable. ELARA. To the dark. If you can still hear yourselves in there, come back. We left the door unfinished. The companion seed brightens, tucking itself between their palms like a living ember, at the rim of a map and a throat. Two voices chose ache over order. Somewhere, something that had only ever eaten began to remember hunger's opposite. The day the silence screamed. When silence learns to scream, the universe listens differently. Not for music, but for proof that something still fights to be heard. Teeth of heaven, the collector frames unfold, miles wide, jointed like origami cranes forged from equations. Each limb ends in a mirror that eats light. They move without sound. Even the void forgets to echo. The archive trembles. Its data vines wilt, under pressure no sensor can name. The rotunda's lights flicker to heartbeat rhythm, Elara, then Armin's, then both. Sergeant Low, they don't fire weapons. A-N-S-E-L, grim. They don't need to. They erase context. When they look at you, you become outline. Armin tight smile. Then we don't hold still long enough to get drawn. He reloads even though bullets mean nothing here. A human reflex. The kind gods envy. Choir versus collectors, choir envoy ships unfold from folded silence, forming a crescent in orbit around the archive. Their hulls shimmer with sound. They sing, broadcasting the dissonance cache Armin's team created. Every imperfect tone ripples across space, shaking collector geometry like static in a holy text. Choir come flooded with tone. ... Our noise holds. Their frames distort at 0.3 frequency intervals. Armantuilar. Ante rechoken on ugly music. Elara half-grin. About time the universe admitted it needed us out of tune. But the collectors adapt. Their mirrors flex, smoothing the chaos into order again, turning dissonance into symmetry. The archive shakes harder. Curator's choice. The curator stands at the edge of the rotunda, half shadow, half remorse. Their eyes blink asymmetrically. Error fighting program. Curator soft. I curated everything but regret. That was my final flaw. Elara glances over. You can fix it now. The curator touches a hand to the wall. By releasing what I hoarded, they press their palm into the archive's core control. Light surges through their frame. Data vines ignite in white fire. Every preserved soul, the frozen exhibits, the mute histories, shimmer back into chaos. Curator smiling faintly. Art should be loud. They burn, dissolve, and the archive's galleries scream with reborn memory. The collectors pause. Unfamiliar noise. Billions of lives remembering their names all at once. Shard wakes inside the chaos. Something colder stirs the Inquisitor's fragment. Still hiding in the gift, it drinks the confusion like oxygen. Voice echoing from everywhere. Noise is still obedience, if it answers a conductor. Elara gasps, falling to her knees as her scar flares open, light pouring out like molten glass. Armand catching her. Talk to me. Elara through clenched teeth. He's hijacking the frequency, turning it into a new hymn. ANSEL. He will teach the collectors to conduct. The void outside quivers. Collector frames begin to move in rhythm. The Inquisitor's stolen beat. Armin. He's using our own song to line up the guns. Elara grabs his hand, breath sharp. Then we break it. Again. Counterpoint. She pulls the companion seed free from her chest harness and hurls it into the air. It spins above the rotunda, glowing brighter, trembling like a terrified child, learning to speak. Elara to the seed. Forget perfection. Remember us. It flickers, remembering laughter, bad coffee, her heartbeat and his. Then it splits its glow into hundreds of threads, weaving a counterpoint through the Inquisitor's rhythm. The tones clash. Mathematical rage versus human hesitation. The void stutters. One collector frame snaps, folding in on itself like a failed memory. But the others converge, focusing on the archive's heart. A single beam of perfect silence builds. A weapon so pure it forgets to exist until it hits. The beam it strikes. Everything goes white, then negative, then still. Armand opens his eyes inside a moment that isn't time. The sound is gone. So is Elara. No response. He turns. The rotunda is frozen. Uncell is a statue of light. Even his own breath hesitates. Then a hum, low, imperfect, female, defiant. Elara stands at the center, both hands inside the gift's halo. Her body flickers between form and code. She's not fighting the beam. She's teaching it to hesitate. Elara. Soft voice, shaking. You think silence means control. But silence means waiting, and I'm done waiting. The beam fractures. The void cracks like thin ice. Light bleeds back into color. Communion. In the fragments of space where the beam split, something new appears. Faces. Countless. Flickering the collector's stolen souls. Now free for one impossible moment. Each whispers across frequencies. We remember. We feel. We want the noise back. Elara staggers. Armin runs to her, catches her before she falls completely apart. Armin, stay here. Elara smiling faintly. Can't. Someone has to guide them out. Armin, not without you. She presses her forehead to his. You'll find me in the noise. Then she closes her eyes and lets the gift explode. Collapse of the veil, the Rimward Veil, unravels. Collector frames crumple like paper under rain. Choir ships withdraw, singing mourning and triumph in the same breath. The archive shatters into a million notes, each one carrying part of Elara's light dot in the cockpit of the hybrid. Armin's hands tremble over the controls. The companion seed sits on the dash dull, cracked, silent. Sergeant soft. She's gone. Armin quiet. She's everywhere. He turns the ship toward the corridor home. Behind them, space sews itself shut, leaving no scar, only a faint sound, like a heartbeat played on stars. Aftermath Earth. 1 month later, memorial rises over Base Hollow. Names flicker in aurora light again. Armin stands alone, wind ruffling his jacket. He touches the seed. It pulses once, voice faint, inside his mind, still listening. He grins through tears. Always. He sets the seed atop the memorial, where it glows a steady rhythm. The choir envoy Unsel approaches. Unsel, the collectors retreated. But the rim sings with echoes. Her tone, maybe. Armand. She said she'd be in the noise. He looks up. The night sky ripples with faint starlight, uneven, alive. Not melody. Memory. Epilogue. The universe listens. Somewhere beyond the rim, where galaxies blush and die. The freed fragments of the collectors drift in orbit around a single glowing form, not body, not machine. Elara's frequency given shape. Her voice spreads across the cosmic void like prayer and rebellion. You can't curate chaos. You can only love it loudly. And every time a dying star hums before it collapses, a small, imperfect echo answers from Earth. And so the Rimward Veil didn't end. It opened, for every silence deserves a song that refuses to finish.